Hi and welcome to the Feel Good Violin Club. I'm Liz and today's video is going to be all about intonation. If you missed my first video, I encourage you to head over there and watch that one first, especially if you're a beginner. I'll make sure to link to that down below in the description box and all the other places. Today's video has some more sort of in-depth, kind of juicy concepts, but they may be a little more appropriate for intermediate or advanced players. So let's hop right in. So once we've developed our internalized sense of pitch well enough that we feel like we can play a note and pretty much know whether it's in tune or not, whether we need to adjust it a little bit this way or that, then we encounter the whole other ball game of learning to play reliably in tune with our bodies, with our physicality. So the first tip today is a really juicy one. It's about visualizing and hearing notes before you play them. This is one of the best tips I have for violin playing just in general. And what's so interesting about it is that it's almost a mental skill almost more than a physical or technical skill, but it's about using the note before something difficult to visualize exactly the pitch that you want to come out as your next note. And not only that, visualizing the pitch, but also visualizing how it's going to feel in your hand to get there. So I almost wish I had another word for this, because it's not just seeing something before it happens, it's hearing it before it happens. Maybe that's the same type of thing as visualization, but it's almost like audialization. Hearing a beautifully crystalline, pure pitch in the milliseconds before you go to it. And this isn't necessarily something that you have to do all the time, but it's especially useful for those moments when you're going for a note or a big shift or a weird, unusual interval where you struggle or you're not sure, you're a little insecure. That is really the moment when you want to use this tool of visualization. So I think I'm going to give a little demonstration here. Say, for example, I just have a fourth finger extension. This is something that even now I still always have like a little hint of doubt about whether it's going to be really in tune or not. So say I'm trying to go from B to F natural, but with my fourth finger. So I'm going to play my B first, and then I'm going to visualize and hear that F natural in my mind's ear before I play it. It's a really amazing thing, actually. It's amazing how powerful our brains are. We're really preparing ourselves for success by doing this. My second tip for intonation is to practice at a tempo in which you are completely in control. And this might mean going incredibly slowly. So again, this isn't necessarily something that's appropriate for kids, maybe. This is more appropriate for adult learners or intermediate or advanced players, because it takes patience and a real sense of awareness and presence to kind of get into the flow of practicing super slowly like this. But let's take an example. I'm going to play the Gavotte in G minor from Suzuki Book 3. I'm just going to play as an example of really how slowly I'm talking about going to feel that you are completely in control of your intonation. Really what this does, going so slowly, gives you time to do the visualization that you're talking about in the first point. It gives you time to hear the note beforehand. It gives you time to plan the distance from one note to another and to kind of visualize that whole experience. with music that feels simple to you, it is so valuable to do things at a tempo where every note is completely within your control. I knew with maybe 95% security that every single one of those notes was going to be placed exactly where I wanted it, because I was doing it at a super slow tempo where I was literally visualizing the pitch and distance between every single note. My third tip for improving your intonation and making it overall just more reliable is practicing intonation in tempo. So actually, in my previous example, I don't think I necessarily did that super clearly. I think I wasn't really playing super in a super consistent tempo, but this is an idea that I found to be really true, and I didn't really understand it at first. But now I believe in it 100%. Good intonation starts with good rhythm. We would not necessarily put those two things together, but it's completely true. And the reason is that if we're practicing intonation completely by itself, it's kind of too out of context. And really, intonation is about learning the distances between notes in time. This is especially true if you're changing from one position to another, shifting from one position to another. So I want to make sure I say here, this doesn't mean that you have to practice in the tempo that you're ultimately going to be playing in. You don't have to do it at performance tempo. You can do it super under tempo. The idea is just to be in a tempo and within a rhythmic structure. So my last tip for improving your intonation is what I like to call listening with your fingers or listening with your hands. Because at some point in this process, we no longer feel like these are two separate senses, but that they are completely, inextricably interconnected. At some point, it feels almost like each finger has its own little brain. It's so in touch with its relationship to what's around it and its relationship to the fingerboard and the string, that it's like it's listening itself, or it has its own sense of sense in there. If that makes any sense. It's like each finger has its own little brain. So I think even if you don't feel like you're there yet, even just these words, listening with your fingers, can be a little guide towards maybe getting you to that place where you feel like these two senses are kind of speaking to each other and are totally the same almost. It's like they're the same. My friends, this has been great. I really enjoy working on intonation actually. I think it's just one of those violin teacher joys that when we hear a student playing really in tune, oh my gosh, it's just so satisfying. So and there are these skills that we can develop to make it so that it feels more within our control, and so much of it is about building that awareness, that really, immense amount of attention along with that visualization stuff of our brains. Our brains are just so powerful. So I wish you the best of luck. I am sure that if you're watching this video, you are on the right track, and that these pointers will get you a little farther. So all the best, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.